Download the AllStar app. Make your picks for UFC fights, challenge your friends, level up and win prizes. Link in description. Get it now.
All right, Anthony. April 12th, you're back in action, but it's not listed. I couldn't find the fight anywhere. Like, what's the situation with that?
Yeah, to be honest, I'm not too sure what happened. I was expecting to be in the season again this year, but I think with the merger with Bellator and that whole thing, they want to make it creative and put Bellator fighters in the season. So I'm off on the sidelines a little bit, but yeah, I'm here as a replacement, alternate. So I'm happy. I still have a spot. So.
Yeah, yeah, and being an alternate is not too bad, man, because the season is hectic and fighting. You never know what's gonna happen, and you can slide in at the most opportune moments, right? All you have to do is win your fights.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, it happened last year. I took that fight against Olivier, and I wasn't even part of the PFL. So this opportunity is a good opportunity.
Definitely. Let's jump back to last year. I mean, you debuted against Tony Caruso. Just talk about that fight and what did it do to your mentality, your confidence, beating a guy like that.
Yeah, he was a great opponent. It feels like a long time ago from
Yeah.
that fight. I know it was about a year ago. So to bring up comments stuff like that, it's different. You kind of move along after a while, especially being on the sidelines for a little bit since last June. You don't really think about that kind of stuff, but I remember it being a good fight. It was a good challenge. Definitely put on a good show to show that I deserved to be at the highest level. And from there, I just moved on, and they liked me enough to give me that opportunity in the main event spot.
You know, you just mentioned that, I mean, you don't really think about it too much. Is that how you've always looked at past fights? That you just once it's over, you just don't dwell on it?
Yeah, I pick and choose some things that are good and some things that are bad. But I try not to dwell on it too much, and it's not like that every time. But I try my best to move on from the fight, whether I lose or I win, and try to grow as a fighter. Because basing yourself off a performance, that's not the complete you. You see a lot of people talk about how they train really well, but when they perform, it's different, right? It's you want to make sure you put everything together and in the training room so you can perform well. So again, I don't try not to dwell on it too much.
And the other fight from last year, last June against Olivier, he ended up winning back-to-back seasons. Probably one of the best Canadian fighters we've ever seen, in that cage. What did you take away from that fight? I mean, because it's a big step up in competition, and I mean, you took the opportunity, man. You win or you lose. Those are the two options when you step in that cage.
Yeah, it's the whole saying like there's no reward if you don't take the risk, and I know it's a big risk. He has that experience in the UFC, and then like you said, winning the PFL the year prior. So I knew it was going to be a tough fight going in. But like I said, you gotta roll the dice sometimes. Like if you watch that first round, I wobbled him, right? I rocked him, and named someone else that did that in that season or the season before, right? So those little things that I like to cherish and realize that it's not the end of the world taking a loss, especially against someone like that. But again, I'm excited to be back, and I'm excited to show that I can compete against the best. Because, like I said, if I can fight against the top guy, the best guy they have in the PFL, then everyone else will still be a challenge. But I still have that confidence with me.
Yeah, the fight. I mean, it was a trip, man. It was a good scrap.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm proud of myself for taking that. Um, from what I've been told, a lot of people were saying no or had injuries or couldn't take the fight because um, there's other people in the PFL or other people that were alternate spots, and for whatever reason they couldn't take it. So of course I'm going to take that. How am I not going to? And like I said, I'm proud of going out there and giving my all, and I didn't hold back at all.
What have you been doing since then? That's the question.
Just training. Just the same thing I do all the time. Um, of course, making sure my health is intact from that last fight. Right. A lot of people don't take that type of thing seriously, and especially that being my first one, I want to make sure that I'm not sparring as often. Making sure that things are all good. I asked my wife, my family, like if you see things, make sure my mental space is good. Maybe some people they stutter when they talk or things like that. And thankfully, I've been good. No problems. Fighting like I always fight, train like I always train, and I'm thankful for that.
Did you see the Ronda Rousey interview or the post? Actually, yeah, interview she did about the concussions.
Yes, I did see that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very concerning, right? Like I'm very concerned about a lot of fighters right now because, fighters are very stubborn in many ways that they're just like they're so tough, they're too tough for their own good, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And that's I really realized that after this last fight. Um, a lot of people don't see the behind the scenes, what's going on. Like even the interviews with Volkanovski talking about how he wants to fight because he's just not in that mental space. Like we don't really see that, and no one really thinks about it. So it's important. We're all human beings. At the end of the day, everyone thinks that we're just these robots that pop up on the TV and we fight to the death and things like that, and we have no emotions. But we're human beings, and a lot can go wrong. So we want to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves.
Have you ever struggled with that throughout your career? Because there's been moments in your career, right, where I felt like you deserve certain opportunities, but it just didn't come your way. You can struggle with that, right?
Yeah, there's times, like I said, I've come to terms of being honest with these interviews because a lot of people try to cast a shadow of who they really are and be this tough guy and stuff like that. But I think it's a better road of just being honest, being yourself, and doing your thing. And yeah, there's times like of course, we talked about the contender series opportunity where you win, but you don't really win because I didn't get a contract. And even my last fight was tough because I had one of my biggest opportunities, and to lose in a way that I'd never lost before was a little different. But other than that, like I said, I'm happy that I have an opportunity to rebuild myself and show who I am as a fighter.
Yeah, and you're 27 years old. You're not even close to it's considered prime age, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, time flies by. I've been thinking about it. I'm like, man, I remember like I was 21, 22, contender series, and now I'm 27. So it flies by, but that time comes with experience as well.
Goodness. And you mentioned you've been training. You've been at Niagara Top Team, or have you been going around traveling a little bit? What's the situation with you?
Yeah, I've been challenging myself, putting myself out there with the season format. You know that you have a certain amount of time before you actually have a chance of fighting. So I've been challenging myself doing wrestling tournaments, competing in marathons, things like that that I never would really do, just to put myself out there. And they're tough. They're tough. I've never done a wrestling tournament before, and it was a different experience. You get that competition feeling. You go against guys that's all they do is wrestle, like Canada's top wrestlers and all that stuff. So it was definitely a humbling experience, but it was cool to see that I can win matches, and of course, there's going to be guys that can beat you because that's all they do. Um, and then running is a different thing. I don't know if you're much of a runner, but that was a cool experience to run. I did my first half marathon, and that was a really cool experience. And then just training in Niagara Top Team, Aegis MMA. I've been here in Vegas training at Syndicate. So it's been feels like a long time, but now looking back, it's been quick. It's been a short time.
In the wrestling tournaments, did you feel like you were the target because you're a known a known name?
Um, yeah, I don't. I try not to think about that. Like I don't really go to things expecting people to know me. Yeah. So some people after sometimes I know after the tournament there'd be guys like, oh hey, like I know you, I've seen you fight before, so that was cool. But like I said, I don't go into the tournament thinking I'm a target or I'm this well known guy because I don't like to think like that. But it was definitely really cool. Good experience. You get athletes of all levels, and yeah, I enjoyed it. I'll definitely do another one after the season.
Las Vegas, man. You're gonna be fighting there. Elvis Espinoza. What do you think of him?
He's a great athlete, a great fighter. We were on the same Challenger series, so that was cool to share that experience. I don't know him too well. He seems like a good guy from what I hear. He's a good person, so I like people like that. But other than that, I believe both of us deserve a spot in the season. There's a couple guys there that I don't know, not to disrespect or anything like that, but I don't think they've proven themselves yet to be in this season. Um, but I could be wrong. They could be huge stars. I'm no one to talk like that, but I definitely do believe that we've both put our time in the PFL and we deserve a spot. So this is definitely the number one contender to be in the season.
Well, I've been seeing a lot of videos of the team at Syndicate. It seems like there's a lot of guys kind of, you know, gathering there for camps and stuff. Who have you been working with at Syndicate?
Yeah, it's been a good experience. There's a couple guys there, like Cody Steele is one of them. He's a big prospect coming up. So he's definitely given good rounds. Josh Quinlan, I've done a couple rounds with him. He's in the UFC. There's a lot of people at Syndicate that I see them, but we never really like formally met each other, swapped names, that kind of thing. So, but other than that, John Wood has been great. He's always welcoming at the gym, so I always appreciate that. And yeah, it's always neat. You go into sparring sessions like that, and you get those the butterflies in your stomach because you don't really know who's coming to sparring today, right? Compare it to a gym that you're always at. Okay, you know who you do your rounds with, and you know how they fight and that kind of thing. So it was pretty neat experience kind of guessing who your rounds are going to be with. But other than that, it's been good.
What do you think of the talent that's been infused into the PFL? Do you feel like the level has risen, or do you feel like people just don't know how good the people at PFL are, and these guys are going to prove it against the Bellator fighters?
Yeah, it's definitely makes things interesting. I don't know too many of the Bellator guys other than the former champions and like the high level guys, but there's some guys that I'm not too familiar with. It'll be interesting. It's definitely going to build some new stars. It's a great idea from PFL to join them together and see who the best is, and then eventually just make it one. So it'll be cool to watch and again, I'm excited to be part of it. So.
For sure. And in this fight coming up, you're coming off the OAM fight. What are your expectations out of yourself? What kind of performance?
I'm excited. I built a lot of confidence over these fights throughout my career. Like every fight, I feel like I'm always adding a new block. Um, you go from that transition to being the undefeated fighter, which I was 9-0 one time, and it comes with a lot of pressure. Like a lot of fighters you ask who has been undefeated before, and they get to 10, 11, 12 and 0, and it just they feel like they just have to win. They don't have to perform. And I've come to terms where I can perform and I don't have any doubt in my mind that wherever the fight goes, I can succeed. And like I said, that comes from the experience I've had, the tough fights that I've had, the high level fights, like my last fight, being able to step in there against a guy who has that UFC experience and PFL experience that builds confidence, whether you win or lose. So I'm excited to perform again and have another opportunity.
One last thing. Did you watch the Francis Ngannou Anthony Joshua boxing match?
I did, yes, yeah.
Were you watching it live?
No, I watched a replay. Life can get busy, so
Okay.
I looked back
Yeah,
at it,
yeah,
but
of course.
yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Yeah, but what was your reaction to that? You know what I mean? Like a lot of people thought Francis was gonna win that fight.
Yeah, yeah. I thought they both have similar body types, and I thought that Fury would be a more difficult fight for him. But yeah, I guess you never really know what's gonna happen. Again, the one thing I don't like is that you watch it and then people talk trash right away, like, oh, he's never belonged and all this stuff. But he's done way better than any of us. Right? He's made all his money. Like you don't want to knock someone down like that.
Yeah.
So good for him. Good for putting his foot down and making the decisions that he's made thus far. So yeah, no, really cool to watch and see what he can do.
It's wild to me that people will talk crazy about Francis Ngannou when he fought probably two of the greatest boxers of this generation back to back in his first two boxing matches, and he had
Yeah,
no
exactly.
experience.
It's not like he's fighting nobodies and trying to build his career. Like he's shot right to the top, and his first fight was great. A lot of people thought he won that as well, and just things happen. You fall short, but again, like we talked about at the beginning, like if you don't take that risk, you'll never get that reward. And he did, and he's still succeeding. Like even after that fight, he'll have a PFL fight. He'll make a bag of money, and he'll keep going.
Do you get inspired by other fighters, or do you get inspired by like people close to you?
Um, yeah, I get inspired. Mostly the humble fighters, like the ones that just be themselves and not try to act to pretend to be someone. And like Ngannou is pretty cool. Like you brought up, and just to see how he doesn't talk a lot of crap. He has fun. He's making a lot of money. He's doing it his way. Like that's the kind of things I like to see. Whether you win or lose, like you stick to your guns and you be the person that you are, and people like that. So, but other than that, I try to be myself. I don't try to model myself after other people. But things like that, or like we've always talked about, like GSP has always been a role model of mine, and the way he fights, the way he carries himself. But yeah.
Do you think now a lot of people nowadays are doing that, are being out of character because they feel like they
um,
have to be?
I think so. I I think people are trying too hard to be something that they're not. Like on camera, they try to wear the glasses or like the shades, um, just different things like that, and try to pretend that they're someone that they're not. And it is what it is. If it works for them, cool. If they make money, cool. But I'd rather just be myself and not overly work too hard on trying to show off and just be myself. So it's better for me.
Yeah. That's the beauty of PFL as well, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter like how much trash you're talking or not talking. You just got to go and win. And if you continue winning, then you become the champ.
Yeah, yeah, of course, and how it should be. I get there's the entertainment side, and that has to happen as well. But um, yeah, I just keep doing what I'm doing, and things will work out.
There you go. April 12th, PFL 2, Las Vegas. Anthony, thank you so much for the time. And hopefully we'll be talking two, three, four times this year, man. Hopefully.
Yes, that'd be awesome. I appreciate it.